Hey everyone, Michael Pickens here for another episode of the Libertarian Leadership Academy weekday candidate interview slash podcast. And we're joined today by Stephen Borella. He's running as a Libertarian for Clark County Recorder, and that is Clark County, Nevada. Stephen, thank you so much. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Don't worry, man. You're not nervous or anything, right?
No, not at all, man. Not at all.
Awesome. So the first question I always ask everyone is, why are you running for office? Your audio just cut out.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that was strange. Go ahead.
That was weird. Yeah, that was weird. But yeah, essentially why I'm running for Clark County Recorder is kind of simple. It's based on the incumbent Debbie Conway. Essentially, there's always been reports about the recorder's office, about her showing up after the office is already closed, when she was elected to run the office, manage her team, and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And the problem with that is there was a report back in 2022 with the Nevada Globe showing that she was 10 years behind when it came to indexing and verifying records. And the problem with that is it leaves people susceptible to fraud. Is
Okay.
How are you supposed to verify records if they're not verified through the recorder's office? She has one job to do. And essentially, I've managed teams. I've managed Chipotle's. I've been on sales teams. And I know how a business is supposed to operate. And I just, like I said, it's simple. I just don't like the incumbent. And I believe that. And I believe the one thing, too, is I believe with Debbie Conway, the reason she keeps getting reelected, she's going on, I believe, her 5th term now. She's been in there for almost 20 years. And she keeps getting reelected because Clark County is so blue. It's just a blue county. And I mean, I think every seat on the board, from the county commission all the way to the treasurer, is a Democrat. But it's because a Libertarian hasn't ran for a local office in a very long time here in Las Vegas. Sure. I believe, yes, they won't vote for a Republican over a bad Democrat, but I believe they'll vote for a good Libertarian over a bad Democrat.
Gotcha. So a lot of people aren't familiar with exactly what the county recorder does. Can you talk a little bit about that role?
Yeah, I mean, I will say about everybody once in their life, if you have a recorder's office, you're going to deal with the recorder because we deal with wedding certificates. We deal with business licenses. We deal with property records. And essentially, most people nowadays, from the people I talk to, don't know how much information is public. There's a public online index here in Las Vegas, and essentially it has a lot of information on it. I've talked to people who are domestic abuse survivors. I've talked to people who are foster parents, and essentially they get scared when I tell them how much information is online. When I worked in solar cells, essentially I could just pull it up through the public online index, and I know who owns that house. And I'm knocking on your door saying, "Hey, Mr. Gabriel, I'm Stephen Borella. Nice to meet you. I'm here with solar. I already know your name. I know when you bought the home, and I know how much you paid for it." And essentially, I don't believe people have to give a reason for wanting their information to be private. I don't believe that they should be like, "I am a domestic abuse survivor." That's not our business. It's not the government's business. If you want your information not to be on the public online index, it shouldn't be there. But essentially what the recorder's office does is we keep control of the records. We make sure if you do a public records request, we get the records to you in a timely manner. Or if you need records for your property, we want to give it to you in a timely manner. And that's why I want to start doing auditing. I want to audit the office so people can see what the government's doing with their information and with their money.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't even think about that. It should be an option to be able to hide your information from the public record as far as, because I own a couple of properties and I'm constantly getting scam calls and letters and like people, if they want to buy your property or whatever, maybe some basic stuff. But yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's great.
You can't do it through like the records themselves because state law doesn't allow you to do it through the records themselves. But the public online index has nothing to do with state law. We can totally remove your information from the public online index.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So what are some other issues as well with this office that you're running on?
Well, I'm running especially for the people in Laughlin and Mesquite, which is an hour and a half away from the main office here in Las Vegas. And you have some of them residents have to drive an hour and a half just to get a basic record. When we're living in a digital age, we're in the digital age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why can't we just email it over to them? Why do they have to waste a whole day of work, waste a whole day of time just to get a simple record that could be emailed? And I can tell you why. It's because they're afraid you're going to print out more copies than what you're going, what you're requesting. But I'm like, who cares? You're not wasting your own paper. Like, it's public
Yeah.
record.
So when you go to the public, to get your records, right? Do they charge you per copy? I've seen
They
that,
do.
right?
Yes.
They charge. So
Yeah.
they make money on it.
Essentially, the office is primarily self-funded, and it is funded through there, but the county commission does give them a budget as well. And I remember hearing an interview with Debbie Conway talking about it, and she said she gets like 5 million per year as a budget, and
Mm.
she's still behind. So I don't know how. Like, I couldn't even imagine. Like,
Yeah. I'm going to pull this up. So you don't have a website currently, but you do have some marketing pieces, and you are looking to get the endorsement of the Libertarian Party there. Is that correct?
yes, I officially get the nomination January 24th, and that's when I was going to open up my website, open up my bank account, and start getting everything ready for that.
Gotcha. I wish I could blow this up. I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to pull that off. Okay, cool. Now, this is an interesting race because it is not like a higher level, right? You're not running for governor, state senate, or state representative, or county commissioner, right? It's Clark County recorder. Are there any other libertarian candidates in your area?
Um, to be honest, not done that I've met. Now I go to every libertarian meetup I can.
Okay.
I love me talking to the Libertarian Party, getting to know them, meeting other candidates. Like I've talked to our candidate that's running for governor here in Nevada.
Okay.
But to be honest, I do believe he is the only candidate I've talked to one-on-one. I've talked to the GOP candidates. Like I've met the woman running for our 12th Assembly District.
Hmm.
Also met the congressman running in my district. I believe his name's Ari Nagy. I met him as well. So I have been talking, connecting to people on both sides.
That's good.
But yeah, you have to. You got to build connections with people. And essentially, I'm trying to talk to the Republicans because I'm like, you haven't beat this woman in 20 years. Why run anybody? Let me have a shot. And
Have the Republicans traditionally ran someone for this position?
I knew they ran somebody last election, and he was only able to get, I believe, 43.7% of the vote. And how I see it is when I'm talking to the Republicans is they know how hard it is to win here in Clark County. Clark County is very, very blue. But I keep telling them, I'm like, why do you want to get embarrassed by the same bad candidate over and over again? It just makes no sense to me. She's a horrible candidate, and you're losing to 8 points to her. I mean, let me start with an 8-point deficit and work my way up from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you plan on getting your message out there once you get the nomination?
Well, like I said, I've done door-to-door sales. I was a door-to-door solar salesman for a little while, and I know how to talk to people. I'm a salesperson.
Yeah.
I know how to get your attention. I've always been a people person. Plus, I was born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, so I got that Southern charm. You know what I mean?
I've always found that people with a background in sales or that were willing to learn sales do better in their elections. If they're willing to study up on personal development and communication skills, which are all part of sales, and going out there and shaking as many hands as possible. There's one thing that I always say in my training: SW, 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 SW. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting, right? And you just got to keep shaking those hands and find the people who are waiting to hear your message, and one of your issues right there, I think a lot of people will agree with, that they should be able to have their information private, right? Are there any other issues that you have that you think are going to be, winners with the general public?
Well, I will say, with the recorder's office, there's not a whole lot I can do. There isn't a whole lot. But I would say definitely modernizing our systems. By modernizing our systems, I mean making it mobile friendly. The website right now on the public online index is sort of mobile friendly, but it has tons of issues. And plus, most people, especially the elderly, they don't know how to access their records online. They're just
Mhm.
confused. So it needs to be a simple process to where you just put it in a search bar and it pulls up. It's not like it's private records, it's public records. And if they haven't opted out into the privacy that I want to do, then it's public record. People can pull it up if they want to
Yeah,
pull it up. And so I do
gotcha.
want to make that more accessible, especially for the people living in Laughlin and Mesquite, because time is money. And I couldn't imagine driving an hour and a half just to get a basic record. And I'm probably sitting in line for another hour.
Yeah. Another thing that you have here on your flyer that you put together is one day indexing, right? Efficiency and accountability. Documents should be indexed and available promptly, not delayed for weeks due to inefficiency. Is that
Yes.
an issue there?
Yes, it is 100%. I've talked to so many residents where they're like, it just takes forever. I've talked to people where it's taken months. Like I said,
Yeah.
there's records showing that she was 10 years behind and she's been in the office 20 years. That means she can't even blame her predecessor. It's you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You've been here the whole time. What's going on? And she makes excuses after excuses, just like most career politicians do. They know how to control the optics and keep making excuses. And as long as she has a D in front of her name here in Las Vegas, she's going to keep getting elected. And that's the main reason why I'm running. I'm just tired of the complacency that we keep doing it. But that's in everyday life, whether that's national. People just become so complacent. We're like, well, it's how it's always been. We got to keep it that way. And I'm like, why? Why do you want to settle for mediocrity? Like why?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it right there. Settling for mediocrity. And I think if you keep talking about that, you're going to have a lot of success in your campaign and pointing out all the deficiencies of the current candidate. It's tough when you're going against a Republican or a Democrat, especially in a controlled district like that where it's a super majority, because people are so brainwashed into just voting for their, party, if you will. However, I've seen there's been such low voter turnout, which means that there's a bunch of non-voters out there, people who are registered to vote but just don't vote because there's no one that inspires them to vote. So if you
Exactly.
can, start running some Facebook ads, $5 a day, $10 a day with short reels of what you're going to do on each issue, you're going to start getting people aware of what's going on. Now, Facebook is just one platform, but I found out personally that you can, target specific areas, right? So you could target Clark County and just only hit Clark County people and start building up that name recognition. And then if you say at the end of every video, if you typically don't vote because you're not excited about anyone, now is the time to re-register, or now is the time to actually get ready to vote for me so we can at least start shifting the political climate, you know. And
Exactly. I
then
agree 100%.
yeah, and then with your gubernatorial candidate, if you could start collaborating and putting on joint campaign events, right? Because Vegas probably, Clark County, Las Vegas probably makes up a huge portion of the population, right?
Yeah.
So you guys are going to have to, if you work together, because you'll both be on the same ballot, 2026.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
And yeah, and
So,
speaking of, there's tons of it. I mean, I believe there's like 2.3 million people here in Clark County. And I believe last midterm election, especially for recorder, it only received, I believe, like 660,000 votes or something like that. That means there's
oh,
1.7 million people out there. And the felons can vote in Nevada. So felons can vote. So there's no excuses.
no excuses. There you go. But yeah, that is a huge amount of the population that just aren't participating. And I found, me personally, like I had to re-register to vote, 5 years ago. I moved and I just recently re-registered because I didn't have anyone I wanted to vote for until recently, a school board candidate. Now, of course, obviously, if you're voting, as a libertarians, the one candidate that I wanted to win lost, right?
Yeah.
And it happens. She didn't lose by much, but she still lost. But that's how you're going to get people inspired to come out to where they're going to re-register, right? If they moved, or if they're just going to start voting again because they just gave up.
Exactly. And you know how the duopoly is. Some people are just burnt out by the duopoly. And
Yep.
it's just the same thing. It's two sides of the same coin. It's just, what government power do you want? Would you want to be taxed to death by the Democrats, or do you want to be morality to death by the Republicans?
Yeah, or and also taxed to death too.
Oh yeah,
Republicans,
you know,
what I
but
yeah,
you're right.
Harry Brown. Here's a quote from Harry Brown. He ran for president as a libertarian, 96 and 2000. He said, Republicans campaign like libertarians, but legislate like Democrats, right?
Yes.
So they say they're going to lower taxes, but when they actually get into office, taxes go up, regulations go up. They still are doing special favors, right? That's why Doge was shut down,
Yep.
because Doge started going into the military industrial complex and big pharma donations into Republicans and their pet projects. And the Republicans were like, cut this off, get
Yep.
out, and
Yeah.
kicked them out. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's
So,
always. And like I said, they love to grow government power just as much as Democrats. It's just,
yeah, they
what
do.
flavor do you want? They just like to frame it up in tradition, and just like how Democrats want to flavor it up in morality. You know what I mean? like, oh, this
Yeah.
is gotta people. It's like, people can help themselves. Okay, come on. No, people can. I got two fingers on my right hand, and I've never took government. Okay.
Well, you can throw up a peace sign.
Hey, I believe in peace. I'm a hippie. I'm just a right-wing hippie, kind of.
Awesome, man. Well, I tried to open this up again, and all right, public performance metrics. There we go. Less paperwork and shorter wait times. Like, it's definitely not a sexy position that you're running for, but
Not at all.
I think because it doesn't have a whole lot of weight as far as, control and, responsibility. I think you have an opportunity to make, a dent here. So,
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm really, I would never run unless I was trying to win. That's one thing. When I was first starting to run, I was considering running for CD3, Congressional District 3 here in Nevada. But I really
yep.
thought long and hard about it. And I was like, I'm a competitive person. I play poker for a living.
Okay.
I'm not going to go in somewhere where I'm like, I'm giving myself the worst shot to win. Plus, I have management experience. I know how to run teams. I've run sales teams. I've run Chipotle teams. I know how to get the most out of my workers. And I truly believe I can make this office run more efficiently through less bureaucratic nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your background playing poker. All right, that's interesting.
Yeah, but I learned how to play when I was 8 years old. My mama taught me how to play. I remember watching it on TV, and I remember telling my mama, I was like, one day I'm gonna be on that TV playing poker. And thankfully, in 2024, I made my first World Series of Poker final table. I got to be on TV. It was a fun experience. I got to meet people like Daniel Negreanu. That was fun. I tried to sell him solar because I was selling solar at the time. I tried to sell him solar at the poker table. I was like, yo, I heard you just moved out here. You need solar?
That's great. That's ABC, right? Always be closing.
Always. Well, I'm playing for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Hey, man, listen.
Yeah. Well, he's got money, so why not?
That he does. Way more. He's made way more than I've done in poker. I've made pretty good in poker, but he's made very well. But yeah, I got my first TV final table experience. I mostly do cash games, so I'm not on TV all the time with the tournaments. But I've played a few tournaments. I've gotten a lot of cashes at the World Series of Poker. But the fourth place finish back in 2024 was my biggest one. And I was so happy when I won it because I called my mom. I was like, I told you I'm gonna be on TV.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's great. I used to play poker. I used to watch poker a lot all the time. I just do business now. I gamble in a different way, right?
Yeah.
But that's awesome, man. Have you ever heard of the poker chip theory of life?
No, I haven't.
So I heard this from Jack Canfield. He's the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and he's got a couple other personal development courses. But he talks about this: if you have 100 chips, right? I'm just going to make it super simple, and we're not going to break it down into chip, denominations. But you got one guy with 100 chips and one guy with 10 chips, right? And you're at the poker table. Who do you think is going to go in more on different hands?
The detention.
Yeah. Well, no, the guy with 100 chips.
Oh,
He has
I
a
know. I
lot
thought you meant
less.
who's going to shove more. That's my fault. That's my fault. I thought you meant
Oh
who's
no,
going to
yeah, no
shove
worries.
all over.
Like go in, bet, play more hands, right?
I know. Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah, because he's got less to lose. He's got 100 chips. The guy with 10 chips, he's going to be like holding them back a little more. He's going to be very careful, and specific, with what hands he's going in.
Yes.
And yeah, so the idea behind that is that the more self-confidence you have, that's like your poker chips. If you've got more self-confidence, you're going to go out there more, you're going to put yourself out there more, and you're going to go after what it is that you want in life. And it sounds like you're there because you're not only, playing poker, but now you're running for office, willing to give it a shot, willing to risk a little bit, even though there really isn't that much risk to it. Because I guarantee at the end of this campaign, whether you win the campaign or not, you will win because you're going to have more supporters, more donors, more volunteers, all that stuff. Your credibility is going to be way higher. So regardless of the outcome, you will win at the end of the day.
Thank you. I truly believe the same because I've made some great friends from people I've met from the the Clark County Democrat Party to the Clark County Republican Party. I've met people who are very nice, very well intentioned on both sides. Now, do I agree with them on everything? No, we get into our
Yeah.
debates. We get into our little debates, but I've made some really good friends along the way. I'm glad I did get involved. I've always been a libertarian since I moved out here to Nevada. I've been a libertarian, I believe, since I was 19 years old. Once I heard Rand Paul, I remember when I saw him running for president in 2016, and I knew that was my guy. And then I found
Yeah.
Ron Paul, his dad, and I was like, oh, Ron Paul, what's a libertarian? I need to know what a libertarian is. And from that point on, I always called myself a libertarian. And so I'm very thankful for the party for being so opening to me. They basically assured me like, hey, you're going to get the nomination, but I'm like, hey, I'm gonna wait till the convention, give my speech. None of the above
Sure.
is still an option. So I'm gonna,
I mean, that should be an option on every ballot everywhere, right?
I
For
agree.
every position. There should be NOTA on there, none of the above. But that's good, man, because, I first learned about libertarianism. It was 2007. It was the first Republican presidential debate, and Ron Paul was on stage, and he said, you know what? The terrorists don't hate us because we're free and prosperous. They hate us because we've been over there meddling in their business since 1953.
Yes.
And when he said that, I was like, what? What do you mean? I thought they hated us for our freedom and because, religion and all these things, and realize that we've been over there. And it's not just the United States before us, it was France and Britain and all these other countries, Russia, getting in their business, stealing their oil and their natural resources and their minerals and all kinds of stuff. It's just like the whole situation in Venezuela all over again.
And yeah, and like you brought up, they don't hate us for our freedom or because of any religion. I point it out all the time because I've always been a guy who likes to read. I'm kind of wired that way. I just want to
Yep.
read. I want all the knowledge in the world. So I've read the Quran, and there's actually a verse in the Quran that says all Jewish people and all Christian people will be with their Lord. They will receive their reward with their Lord in heaven, and that means because they believe in the same God. I'm a religious man, but I consider myself to be an Abrahamic monotheist. I believe essentially all three major religions we're talking about the same God. But it's just in different ways, different times. It's just different, different times. But they're all talking about the same God. So my point is I always tell people, like, they don't hate you for your religion. They hate you because we bomb their daddies, their mamas, we bomb their sisters, their brothers,
their kids.
And wouldn't you hate us? Like, if they just dropped a bomb on us tomorrow, if Mexico dropped a bomb on us tomorrow, wouldn't you say, oh, I hate Mexico? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down there. Well, I wouldn't blame you. Of course, they hurt your family. And I do like how you did point out how this position is it's not a sexy position at all. And that's the thing I'm telling people too, is I'm not running to be glorious. I'm not running for the glory. I'm running because I know I can do a better job than Debbie Conway. I'm running because I care about the people of Clark County. And I want to see this government, because, I believe in small government, but if government exists, it should exist in work. It shouldn't be 10 years delayed and leaving people susceptible to fraud. I don't even know how it's happened. You would think she would have got, like, the county commission could have impeached her or something, like something.
Yeah. But they won't. Like, we tried to run a recall against one of our Republican county commissioners, and we got it passed at the county Supreme Court, and she appealed it to the state Supreme Court because they pass every single ordinance that comes out of our state capitol. Like, the state Supreme Court protected her and approved her challenge, right?
Yeah.
So we can't move forward on the recall, and she used $120,000 of county taxpayer funds to defend herself. Yeah, it's crazy.
$120,000? That's insane.
Yep. Yeah, I know it is.
That's insane.
It
That's
is,
personal.
but it's
That's personal. I can't even use gas money that's donated to. I can't even use it for gas to drive an hour and a half to Laughlin to campaign. And she gets $120,000. It's
to pay for her attorney to defend her actions, her corruption.
That's insane. Yep. That is
insane.
Man.
Yeah.
I can't even
there's a lot that needs to be fixed in the system, and I appreciate that you're running for this position. That it's one, I think it's winnable, and two, I think you've got some positions that every person that isn't like totally brainwashed with Democrat will agree with you, right? Because you'll get some people that agree with you, but they're like, oh, well, you're not a Democrat, so I can't vote for you. They're just brainwashed with it, regardless of the issues that you stand for. So, yeah, thank you so much for running, man.
Hey, anytime, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on. Like I said, this is my first interview that wasn't done by Poker News. Yeah.
Well, after you get your nomination, please reach back out to me. I'll have you back on the show when you got your website done so you can promote your website. I normally show websites of candidates on here, and then, hopefully we get you some donations and run some ads. So anyways, man, thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to tell everyone before we go?
No, I would just say, hey, never stop believing. Always try and always go for what you believe in. Like I said, 7 fingers never stopped me, and nothing ever will.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Steven. We will chat with you soon.
Hey, I'll chat to you soon, man. Have a great day, man.
You too.